Hello, hi. I hope you're all doing really well, and welcome to this channel. If it's your first time, if you already visit this channel every now and then, or you're a subscriber, thank you for subscribing first of all, and welcome back. So before I start anything, I'm just gonna put in a disclaimer saying this is a fictional story, and if it somehow sounds or resembles like anyone else's story out there, then it's just a coincidence. So let's begin. So in this story, do you know when people are asked, what do you bring to the table? Some people have been asked this question. I've never been asked this question, what do you bring to the table? But for those who have been asked this question, it's a really, really, really annoying question if someone has been asked that, and it really sounds like an insult if you ask someone, what do you bring to the table? So I'm talking about people in a relationship. So if you're in a relationship and someone asks you, what do you bring to the table? Like, what kind of question is that? Because everyone has a value, right? If you're in a relationship and you've been in it for a long time, for years, I mean, you do bring something to the table, right? The only situation where you bring absolutely nothing to the table is when you're doing it on purpose. And that's when you're doing nothing at all, like nothing, as in you're an adult and you're doing nothing and you're doing it on purpose. And by nothing, I mean you don't clean, you don't cook, you don't take care of the kids if you have them, you're not supportive to your partner. You know what I mean? You don't do anything, like, like a newborn baby. They do a lot, of course, internally, but when you're looking at them, they sleep, they wake up, they cry, they eat, you change them, they feed them, they burp, and they do the same thing all over again. So if that's all you're doing, eating and sleeping as an adult, and you're not doing it on purpose, it's not on purpose, there's nothing wrong with you, and you can do something, and you're just doing nothing. Basically, you're behaving like you're not behaving like you're living your life where you do nothing, eat, sleep, and that's it, as an adult, when there's nothing wrong with you. Everything is absolutely fine, medically, mentally, emotionally, everything is fine, and that's all you're doing, eating and sleeping. Then you're absolutely bringing nothing to the table. But if you clean, then you say you clean the house, right? Then you do bring something to the table. If you cook, you do bring something to the table. If you're helping out with finances, or even if you're not helping out finances but you're supportive, then you're bringing something to the table, right? Because the thing is, this question, when they ask this question, what do you bring to the table, this question will never be asked to someone who is financially successful, and that's the only success they have. Finance, like they're rich, right? If someone is rich and that's the only thing they do, that's the only thing they're successful at, making money and being rich, right? But in a house, in a relationship, they don't do anything else. They don't help out with anything else. They don't clean, they don't cook, they don't help with cleaning, they don't help with cooking, they don't help with looking after the children, they don't help with ironing, they don't help, like nothing else other than going to work and making the money. They don't do anything else, like literally nothing else. So that person would never be asked that question. If you never see anyone asking a person like that, what do you bring to the table? You know what I mean? Because it's not like they're not bringing anything to the table. They are, because they are making the money. But someone when you look at this, someone who's doing the opposite, they're not making as much. They're making money, but not as much. Like, not like a wealthy type of money. But they are bringing some money to the household. But at the same time, they're also helping out in the house with everything else that goes on in the household. They are cleaning the house. The house is clean. That's because of them. They're doing that. they are cooking, you're eating healthy homemade cooked meals, that's because they're doing it. Clothes are clean and ironed, they're washed and ironed, that's because you're doing them, right? What else? All the household chores, they're doing it all. And if you have children, they're looking after children, they're taking really good care of the children, they're doing all that. Would you ask that person, if you compare that person to the person whose only job is to make money, and a lot of it, would you think they'll ask this question, what do you bring to the table? I think in most cases they'll ask the person who's not bringing in as much money. That's the person they'll ask, what do you bring to the table? Because they're not seeing that person as a successful person, right? But if one person is taking care of the household and everything else, and the other one is just their only job is to bring in finance, you're all doing a lot. You all bring a lot to the table, because there's no way this person who's making all the money and that's all they're doing, there's no way they can do any of that. There's no way they can go out there and work and make all that money without your support, without you being at home and looking after everything else. There's no way. It's just not gonna work. If you decide to stop doing that and go to work and make as much money as well who's gonna take care of the kids? You know what I mean? Who's gonna take care of the kids? Who's gonna do the house chores? Who's gonna cook? Who's gonna clean? You know what I mean? None of that will be done, and it's gonna be a big problem. It's gonna be a big issue if none of those chores are being done. So, this question of what you're bringing to the table, I think it's a slap in the face. It's just not it's an insult. No one should be asked that question, because everyone brings value to the table. Everyone brings something valuable to the table in a relationship that is already working, right? Everyone brings value. Just because you can't cook, it doesn't mean you can't clean, right? You might not be a great cook, you might not cook, but you clean. You know what I mean? So that's something you're bringing to the table, and it's important. You might not be good at, I don't know, you might not be good at what's it called? Okay, you might not be good at, you might not be a morning person, so you don't wake up early in the morning to organize everything ready for the day. But in the afternoon, you're taking care of everything else, like evening meals and anything else that you have to do in the afternoon. That's something you're bringing to the table. That's crucial. So, I think for those who have been asked this question, what do you bring to the table? It's a huge slap in the face, honestly. And I'm not sure if anyone likes that question. Who likes that question when they're being asked, what do you bring to the table? And the other thing is, if you're a woman and you're in a relationship and you and your partner have both agreed to have kids, and you've carried your kids and you're raising kids, you've carried them in your womb and you gave birth to them and all that. Yes, that's a huge thing that you brought to the table, because without you, the man will still probably have kids, but it would not be as easy, right? Someone will have to carry those babies in the belly, right, in the womb, and give birth to them. Someone. So you do. Everyone, in my opinion, if you're in a relationship with someone and it's been working for years, you do bring something to the table. But of course, sometimes one person might be doing a lot more than the other, and then that might shift. That balance might shift. It just depends on the time. So there'll be a point in time it'll be a point in the relationship where the husband is doing a lot more in the household, and then that might shift. The wife might be doing a lot more in the household instead, and could be many reasons behind that. So it doesn't mean you're doing nothing. You're bringing nothing to the relationship. So I think, because another thing is, before you decide to be in a relationship with someone, you're gonna look into all these things. You're gonna think, is this person, what is this person bringing to the table, right? Before you get committed with someone. So yeah. Anyway, whoever has been asked that question and they feel like they've been doing a lot, they bring a lot to the table. I'm sorry. I can only say I'm sorry, because it's sad. It's sad to be asked that question. So anyway, I'm just gonna stop right there, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.